A simple handgun, yet it could take down monsters with terrifying defenses. I had written in its settings that its destructive power would double, and with my precise aim, I quickly earned Piao Xiuhe's respect. I gave him only a brief response before turning back to fire again. He didn't understand why, until he followed my shot and saw that the dark bird-like monster on the cliff had already been struck down. He wondered how I could see so clearly from such a distance. With confidence, I told him that my vision now stretched for miles with ease. After slaying 2 monsters, I decided to call it a day. It took a lot of effort, but I finally gathered both creatures in one place. The question was how to transport them outside the hunting grounds. Xiuhe, however, never let me down. He had already thought it through. Tomorrow, he said, he would pay me for the goods and hire a rescue team to carry them away. I felt reassured, entrusting everything to him, and decided I would only work with him from now on. I had mentioned to Xiuhe that this was my first hunt. Out of curiosity, he asked what I planned to do with the payment once I received it. He was stunned when I answered seriously. I would invest it. To him, I didn't seem like an ordinary teenager at all. That night, when I returned to my dorm, the very first thing I did was spend the remaining money to purchase stocks in the Demonbane Guild. According to my own original storyline, its founder was a demonic being, playing a significant role in the novel. But what caught my attention was their potential to go public. Soon, they would raid the X-type demon vault, and once successful, their stock value would skyrocket. I searched around for other guilds to invest in, but there wasn't enough public information available. It seemed I'd have to check the Purple Ashes forum on the dark web. Thinking of the dark web reminded me of a major villain group from later in the story, the mysterious False Colors. Every member's identity was a secret, and I was the only one who truly knew their details, being the author. Although they were antagonists, they despised demons. If I could connect with them, perhaps they could even help me eliminate Kai Zhenyu. At this point in the original plot, False Colors still had one spot open. Their next moves should be starting soon. Just as I was about to review more of my settings, my computer screen went black. Panic rose in me. Right now, nothing mattered more than this computer. It held the key to whether I could ever return. Thankfully, after some tense waiting, the screen lit up again. A message appeared. It has already been 1 month. The laptop's functions are being updated. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Liu Yanxia and Shen Zonghe were waiting. They were part of an elite group known as the Noble Society, now gathering for a meeting. Shen Zonghe hated such events, but Yanxia told him to endure it for a while longer. At last, the restaurant doors opened. The one entering was none other than Kai Na-yun, who openly despised me. The moment he saw her, Shen Zonghe's mood flipped completely. His face lit up with joy, his irritation gone. In contrast to his enthusiasm, Kai Na-yun seemed unimpressed, even scolding him for overreacting about her recent hospitalization. As their conversation went on, Yanxia sat quietly, her expression darkening. Soon, the group began their discussion. In the middle of it, Kai Na-yun suddenly brought me up. Yanxia was caught off guard. Why was she so curious about me? Without hesitation, Kai Na-yun recounted the incident at the museum. She found it deeply suspicious that I had destroyed a demon's arm with nothing more than a training pistol. It was completely different from how I behaved at school. Remembering that Yanxia had once been grouped with me, Kai Na-yun asked what she knew. Yanxia had investigated me before. All she found was that I was born in an orphanage. But hearing Kai Na-yun's story and recalling the massive debt of 300 million, she realized I must have been hiding my true strength. Still, on the surface, Yanxia kept her composure, replying calmly that there was nothing worth paying attention to. But then, Kai Na-yun suddenly asked if Jin Hezhen might actually be a demon. The room fell silent. Yanxia immediately denied it, while Shen Zonghe asked if Na-yun simply disliked him. After a pause, Na-yun recalled my words and admitted that, yes, perhaps it could be seen that way. While they continued their discussion, my laptop finally finished updating. In the next moment, a blinding light burst from the screen, forcing my eyes shut. When it faded, a stabbing pain tore through my arm. My left sleeve was soaked in blood. A message appeared on the computer. You have obtained a stigma, one of the creator's divine abilities. At once, torrents of information flooded my mind. Overwhelmed by the sudden strain and the burning pain in my arm, I collapsed to the floor. Another message appeared, outlining the updates. A new low-level skill, true knowledge, enhanced observation, and analysis. By the time I regained consciousness, it was already morning. Though my arm still throbbed, I made my way to the commendation ceremony in S City. Even with the stigma, I didn't yet understand its full effect. As I sat waiting, lost in thought, Na-yun suddenly snapped that I was being too noisy. This needless provocation left me speechless. Calmly, I reminded her that just days ago, I had saved her life. Hearing that only made her angrier. She snapped back, insisting that was a separate matter altogether. The two of us had clearly become a disturbance. So Kim Soo-ho pulled her aside and switched seats, choosing to sit next to me instead. Once he did, he turned to me and expressed his gratitude. He understood that without me that day, they probably wouldn't have won, but I downplayed it, telling him that even without my help, they would have managed. In fact, he might have awakened even greater power. After all, Kim Soo-ho is the most perfect character I've ever written. No matter the trials or dangers he faces, his strength always rises to a new level. After waiting for some time, the award ceremony officially began. The one presenting the honors was Ryu Seokok, ranked 37th among heroes and classified by the association as a top-tier hero. Many people called him the Wolf of Valhalla. When the host called the winners to the stage, the three of us went up together. Ryu Seokok handed the award to Kim Soo-ho first. The moment he looked at him, it became clear why so many in the circle were envious. While passing the certificate, he leaned in close and whispered advice not to join the association, but to live as a free hunter, saying it was a far more liberating life. In his eyes, the so-called duties of a hero were nothing but a burden. But Soo-ho is not someone easily swayed. Even if such responsibilities are dull, he still wants to become a true hero. Ryu Seokok sighed, realizing he wouldn't change his mind, and let the matter drop. When it was Nayun's turn, things got awkward. She shyly called him Master, but he dismissed the idea. To him, an archer could never be his disciple. Her father had asked him to look out for her, but since she had chosen the bow, he had little interest. Then came my turn. Seokok looked at me in confusion, not even recognizing my name. Being ignored like that stung, but at least the reward made up for it. This time, I received over 10 million won as prize money for driving out the demons. Feeling pleased, I decided to increase my investments, even considering buying more shares in the Lord of Illusions. But before that, I wanted to check the new updates on my notebook. The first was something called a stigma. It appeared yesterday as a mark on my wrist, likely something added by another author. The description was vague. It suggested that magic could be freely controlled by my will. When I focused on it, the stigma suddenly revealed itself, though accompanied by pain. It wasn't convenient to test further inside the banquet hall, so I decided to leave it for later. The next update was the activation of the notebook's online network. Clicking into it, I found several sites I could access. This seemed to be the true highlight of the update. One of them, the Purple Smoke Guild, stood out. It was the most renowned underground site, offering intelligence, weapons, bounties, commissions, and trades. Practically every hero in training had used it at some point. Normally, joining required a massive fee, but I could create an account for just 200 FP. As I was about to log in, Yoon Song suddenly appeared in front of me. She said that after the ceremony, she noticed I was missing, so she came looking. Then she handed me her business card. Receiving it carried significant meaning. It was her formal invitation for me to consider joining her guild. After sitting down, she leaned closer and told me there was one question she wanted to ask.